we are here, brought Marcel in, invited Marcel in, because this is today 1 week deadline for Toronto to announce whether it's going to put forward a letter and announce it's going to seek an official bid to host 2024. The talks have gone kind of quiet. I don't know if they're behind closed doors or right now, but right now, substantively, what do you know about whether Toronto's going to go ahead?
Do you think I'm going to tell you everything I know?
Yes, I do. That's why I've invited you in.
I'm happy to be with you, and we had a good experience in Sochi and London together. And this is absolutely the week.
Yes.
The week in the sense that Mayor of Toronto is going to have to decide if they go forward for being a candidate by the 15th of September for the 2024, a week today. There's a lots of work behind closed doors, of course, but the quietness is something that people want to make sure they could work without the interference and get focused on it. But this decision is a huge one.
Yes.
But that's the right one to take, by the way, because the momentum you are mentioning about the Pan Am is unlimited. I was in Malaysia, in Kuala Lumpur, for the session of the IOC, and the talk of the town was July 9 in Montreal for the opening of the Olympic House and the success of the Pan Am game. And pretty soon you're going to know it's not only a success as far as the fans, as far as the athletes, as far as the competition, as far as Toronto, but as far even financially.
Well, that's the big question mark, isn't it? Finances of all this. And I want to come back to that point because for city council members and for many members of the public, that's the big question and the big concern they have. But can I just, as far as these talks that are ongoing, we're going to bring up a statement. We talked to Mayor John Tory's office last night to see if he'd be pronouncing today or when. And really, it was just a restatement. They're still talking, and they're talking to pretty much everyone. The Premier today, other stakeholders, city councillors, nonprofit groups, unions, young leaders, the business community, all of these, the talks ongoing. But you two have had talks, I know, with Mayor Tory. Substantively, what have you talked about? Yeah,
I try to be the most informative I can. I am the one in relation with the IOC. I was one of the member of the committee who made the reform of the IOC for bidding, as far as having the right legacy and sustainability and by the 40 recommendation adopted in Monaco in 2014. I was on the committee.
This is the IOC big reform, 2020 reform plan.
I was right on it. Then I could be a good resource as far as what was behind this, what was the idea, what was the program, what they want to achieve.
Right.
As far as control of the cost and having affordable games. And then I really briefed the mayor the best possible of this. And I am in contact with Thomas Bach and the IOC executive to know more for the benefit of the Toronto people to get well prepared and make a very, very good decision with the right background.
So, economic cost. This has been a big push for the IOC because some cities have dropped out of bidding because of the cost. And we see, you talk about Sochi at $51 billion, and nobody wants to get to that level again. So in keeping the cost down, Council, Commissioner report said that Toronto's bid would be between $3.3 and $7 billion. Los Angeles has just announced it's going to seek a bid for 2024 for 4.5. Where do you see Toronto's costs coming in?
I think between 4 and 5. And also this time we are going to have to find a way. And IOC is going to force the bidding city to do it, to separate what's for Olympics and what's for the city and the population that they were going to do anyway one time.
Those infrastructure capital projects, yes.
They want, there will be some, including in the Olympics, when it's necessary to do the right Olympics. But if it was not necessary for the Olympics, that's going to be totally separate to avoid the perception that you just mentioned about 51 billion in Sochi. You know that's not true.
Right.
What he did put in there, he just built a society. He built a resort for the Russian to stay at home instead to go in the Côte d'Azur and those places. That's what he did.
So for Toronto's case, they would need some public transport. They would need a new stadium. There would be infrastructure spending required as part of this.
Yes, but if it's required to deliver the games, like you could deliver the game with a temporary stadium.
Right.
Don't put all the charge of a new stadium to the games. That's what is going to be very much separated these days, that people stop to have the perception that the games are not affordable.
Okay.
First of all, just remember one thing. The past system is over. This is gone. With Thomas Bach at the head of the IOC, this is cost control, reduction of flexibility to accept, venues, to renovate venues, no white elephants just for the fun of it.
Reuse them.
That's finished.
That's done. So is our time, unfortunately. But I want to ask you just before I go, because this is the big thing. This is why you see some grassroots activism still saying no to the Olympics in Toronto. It's the public concern about being stuck with cost overruns. There are always going to be cost overruns. Los Angeles just committed to a $400 million cost overrun fee. It's going to pick up any cost overruns. Would Toronto have to do the same?
You know what? You have to manage. You have to manage well. There would be absolutely a profit on the bottom line. Because for the operation side, you're going to receive more than $2 billion from the IOC. This is money from all over the world. That's not Toronto people money or the province money. That's from the IOC. There is no reason with that kind of generation, plus the tickets, plus the licensing, plus the sponsorship, all of that together, there is, with a normal operating committee, as far as bidding and realizing the games, you cannot afford to have a deficit. It's impossible. The risk is very much controllable right now, as far as the risk vis-à-vis the operation side and the venue side. The venue side, you decide if you want it, to the perfection of something for the next 100 years and the best in the world. That's your decision. It won't be anymore the request of the IOC, because they are going to be so flexible about using the Pan Am facilities and all of this. But you have to think about another things. You have to beat Paris, you have to beat Hamburg, you have to beat Rome, and you have to beat LA. That's what you have to do something to attract them.
We're going to talk about that maybe next week. Marcel Aubut in Toronto all this week, perhaps anticipating something. If there is news, I hope to speak to you again. But this is the information that I know you're bringing to city leaders that you've brought to us this morning. Good to see you on this. 1 week to go. Do we find out if Toronto, at the very latest, you got to give me my arm back, okay? Marcel Aubut, thank you very much.